Hi all, welcome you all for the next session. Dr. R.S. Sandhu, Science of Cosmetics and Personal Care Products. Today we are going to section part 23, right? Part 23. So in part 23 it will be building blocks, now actives, right? So what happened? So we had the building blocks from water, surfactants, emollients, humectants, rheology modifiers, preservatives, perfumes. So most of these things go in to form the base formulation. Now the actives. So now for each and every condition, what are the actives that can be included in the formulation? Probable actives. It is a constant research. I am mentioning some of the actives. No, some of the actives are mentioned in the literature, but most of them has not been proved. But I am giving selected actives for use in products. But every time, right, every part we will discuss one condition, right? Today we will be discussing actives for skin moisturization. Please remember, the actives are not going to be of any pharmaceutical actives. The actives are not going to be steroids. The actives are not going to be antifungal ingredients, antifungal intake, no, antifungal tablets that has to be taken inside. It will not be any antibiotics. So we are dealing with cosmeceuticals, cosmetics and personal care, and the challenge is to give efficacious products that are safe for long-term use, right? That is your challenge. See, the challenge of making an antibiotic cream is different, totally different. It is prescribed by a doctor and it under supervision is given. But here you are not looking for such products. You are looking for products that delivers, but it's safe. Many companies, many personal care companies are spending lot of money in research of getting actives for dandruff, more potent actives for dandruff, more potent active to manage skin blemishes, more potent actives to manage skin aging. It's not that people are not successful in getting a new active. It is they get new actives, but they couldn't use those actives because they are not safe for long-term use. And still those actives can be used in a pharmaceutical product where it is used for a short time under medical supervision and it is stopped, right? So now that is what the students of the cosmetic and personal care science, right? If you are also a pharmacist, right, you might like to get into all these pharmaceutical antibiotics and all those things for these conditions, right? It's better to know that. But remember, if you are in a personal care industry, you are not going to use all those things, right? Your challenge is without using all those things, you have to give the benefits, right? So on one side, if you are a pharmacist, learn all those things, but remember, approaching personal care, cosmetics and cosmeceuticals should be a different approach altogether, right? So in my section on actives, therefore I am not going to cover all the things that has to be prescribed. No, simple things that can be used in cosmeceuticals or cosmetics or personal care products. That is what we will discuss, right? Okay. Now today what we are going to discuss is building blocks. Section A, building blocks, section A for Actives for skin moisturization. Actives for skin moisturization. Now, if skin moisturization, you should have undergone and studied or heard part 3, part 4 and part 5 to understand easily this part, right? So, I will very quickly skip through some of those points very quickly. No, today part 23, A, section A, building blocks for moisturization, section A. Section A is moisturization actives, right? So now we said, we discussed moisturization is required in the for the outermost layer of the skin called the stratum corneum. Stratum corneum should contain 15 to 20% of it is as moisture. Below that it becomes dry, and since stratum corneum, otherwise called as horny layer, is an important layer to the skin because it's the protective layer. It is also called the barrier layer. That is the layer which protects the entire skin, right? So this integrity of this layer is very important. Stratum corneum is formed of dead cells, right? Stratum corneum is formed of dead cells, the outermost layer. It's like, it's the horny layer of the stratum corneum, right? So the stratum corneum is made up of dead cells, right? This is what we said. This is the outermost layer, right? This is what we said. Stratum corneum, how? It's a cell like this, no? With attached to lipids called ceramides. Inside this we have natural moisturizing factors. Natural moisturizing factors bring in moisture. Ceramides hold moisture, right? This is what we said, right? Ceramides hold moisture. Natural moisturizing factors bring in moisture because of their hygroscopic properties. So it's a brick and mortar. This is a model. The stratum corneum is not in this shape. Stratum corneum is in this shape, right? In this shape. Just to depict how it is, no, brick and mortar, how it is. That is how these cells are. See, these are keratin cells with NMF. So this is cemented by ceramide lipids, right? Right. This is what the cells will be like this actually. Flattened cells. Cells are not like this. This is to show a model. Right. So people, this model I showed last time, and some are confused. They are saying brick and mortar, like, no, brick and mortar is a model. No, like how you attach the brick with the cement. That is how the keratin cells are cemented with ceramide lipids. Inside those keratin cells you have natural moisturizing factors. So this is how the stratum corneum is present. Stratum corneum is dead cell, right? Stratum corneum is dead cell. It has to have 15 to 20% of it as weight as moisture. Below that it will become dry. When the external humidity drops, stratum corneum lose moisture to maintain the balance. That is one way it can get dried. Other genetic factors are there, but the main way it can become dry is the environmental conditions, right? The other condition, which this is what we discussed last time, the other condition which it can become dry, right, which it can become impaired, which I didn't discuss last time because I want to build in slowly, right? Today we are going to discuss a very, very important protein present in the granular layer, of the stratum inside epidermis, granular layer that differentiates into stratum corneum. Be told, stratum corneum is not static. The old cells go out, the new cells come. Yes, the old cells go out and new cells come. It is dynamic. So stratum granulosum is also important, that differentiates into stratum corneum, right? So the inner layers differentiate into stratum corneum, it goes out, new cells form. So the process is dynamic. So that is very, very important to understand. So I am going to introduce a new protein called the filaggrin, right? So filaggrin is formed from the breakdown of profilaggrin, a protein contained in the granules found in the granular layer of the skin, right? Granular layer of the epidermis, upper epidermis, outer layer of the skin. Filaggrin is vital for skin cells to mature properly into tough, flat corneocytes that forms outermost protective layer of our skin called stratum corneum, right? Important to note that filaggrin pathway is genetically controlled. So that is what we said, dry skin can be genetic, right? If any deficiency in this pathway, filaggrin pathway, is reported to be cause for most of the skin related problem like dry skin, allergy and dermatitis. No, if you are a researcher, you can try to work on this filaggrin factor and how to reactivate it in people who are genetically impaired to get this filaggrin pathway perfected, right? So people who are perfect in the filaggrin pathway, their skin doesn't become dry, manage, but this is very, very important. So this is the one which so filaggrin, profilaggrin is converted into filaggrin, okay, and it forms glutamine and histidine, right, which gets converted into pyrrolidone carboxylic acid, a natural moisturizing factor, urocanic acid, it's a UV protectant, right, and the products are very, very important for skin barrier function, okay. Aspect which you should understand, filaggrin is a very, very important protein, and so lack of that causes dry skin problems and also allergy, dermatitis, all those problems are caused if this pathway is not happening properly. Any deficiency in the pathway is reported to cause most of the skin related problem like dry skin and allergy and dermatitis. So before just looking into actives, so what are the natural moisturizing factors, right, which is in the keratin cells? It's a composition containing amino acids, PCA, pyrrolidone carboxylic acid, right, PCA, sodium lactate, urea, sodium ions, calcium ions, potassium ions, magnesium ions, phosphates and chloride ions, ammonia, uric acid, glucosamine, creatinine, right. Some of them are still being identified, but these are the major things as NMF. So natural moisturizing factors that bring in moisture from the outside environment to the keratin cells and from the inner layers of the cells to keep the stratum corneum moisturized. So this is composition of the natural moisturizing factor. So now we will look into the list of ingredients that can be used in your formulation to supply moisture. Supply moisture, that is the thing, glucosamine, glucose, right? Glucuronic acid, glutamic acid, glycerin, very important. Honey, very important. Lactic acid and its salts, very important. Lactose, mannitol, propylene glycol, mannitol, sorbitol, very, very important. Urea, xylitol. No? So, these are all the things very commonly used. Glycerin, honey, lactic acid and its salts, sorbitol, urea, xylitol. These are all, no, you can evaluate and take it forward. Lactose, glutamic acid, glucuronic acid, glucose, glucosamine. They are all listed. But generally, these are the ingredients that are used, right? Polyols and alpha hydroxy acid, especially lactic acid and its salts, right? So these are the hygroscopic ingredients that will supply moisture. There are some polymers, hydrophilic polymers, that are also used to supply moisture. Alginic acid and salts, right? Beta glucan, chitosan, collagen hydrolysate, dextran, glycosaminoglycans, hyaluronic acid. In these, very, very important is hyaluronic acid and its derivative. Very important and widely used, right? So these are all some of the examples. Some of the natural things that can, aloe gel and yogurt. Aloe gel and yogurt. No? Sugars from aloe gel, they are the main ones. They are the one which supply moisture to the skin. Sugar from aloe gel. So these are all monosaccharides, glucose and fructose, polysaccharides, glucomanans and polymenos and mucopolysaccharides, no, acetylated mannan, right? So these are all the polysaccharides that has a very, very potent the water absorbing capacities, and that is the one which maintains the moisture balance in the skin. No? That is how aloe gel works. See, yogurt has lactic acid, no, and polyunsaturated fatty acids also. So polyunsaturated fatty acids, what it happens, no, it helps to build ceramide that can hold moisture, right? Hold moisture. And lactic acid, it's a natural moisturizing factor, lactic acid and sodium lactate. So yogurt has a very good skin application. See, there are lot of herbal things which, see, for example, all the herbs which are potent antioxidant can also be used, which when we discuss anti-aging, we will discuss about the herbs that are potent antioxidants containing polyphenols. They can also be used just as a protectant, because sun UV rays can damage the skin, right? Because of free radical formation, and antioxidants can quench it. So that is the way that when we come to anti-aging, list of ingredients in anti-aging, we will discuss about that also. But here the major thing I found is aloe and yogurt. Here also honey. Honey is another very good moisturizer. Honey is another very good moisturizer which supplies moisture, right? So this is one thing. So other actives which can seal moisture, the other actives which can seal moisture, right? In this, right? But how can they seal moisture? From forming an occlusive layer. Occlusive layer is water hating layer, that is, you can also say oily layer, continuous oily layer, continuous oily layer, right? So these are some of the things that can seal moisture effectively. They are good occlusive agents. They are good occlusive agents. See, of these, the best occlusive agent known as of today is petrolatum, that is petroleum jelly. Petroleum jelly is very potent occlusive agent that can seal moisture effectively because it is very, very non-polar. So it effectively seals moisture and it forms a continuous layer on the skin, and there, as of now, there are no better occlusive agent compared to petrolatum, right? Petroleum jelly. Then paraffin oil, petroleum liquid paraffins, and these are all some of the examples. There can be many examples like this, no? Arachidyl behanate, dimethicone, silicone derivatives, glycol stearate, hydrogenated rice bran wax, octyl dodecyl stearate. So all these things. We can also say all emollients like vegetable oils, cocoa butter, shea butter, fatty alcohols, fatty acids, esters, no, have various degree of occlusive property based on their polarity. Very, very high polarity ingredients have, they are used to give better sensories, but as the polarity increases, the occlusivity can decrease, right? Occlusivity can decrease. So that is the thing, ingredients that can seal moisture, that can be used in moisturizing creams and lotions. And so these are all for widely nowadays people use these things, cocoa butter, shea butter, and the esters, then silicones, dimethicone is a silicone derivatives, then the hydrogenated waxes, all these things to give in modern creams if they don't want petroleum based products in their formulations, right? Petrolatum is a petroleum based, paraffin oil is petroleum based. If they don't want petroleum based products, they can get into all this cocoa butter, shea butter, which are all natural, right, to give more nourishment and occlusivity to the skin, right? So now the third is agents. Ceramide biosynthesis improve water holding capacity of the skin. Agents that increased ceramide biosynthesis, right? What are ceramides? They keep the keratin layers, no, of the stratum corneum cemented, like, right, and they have the property to hold moisture. So even when the cells are the lower cells are transforming, no, differentiating into stratum corneum, if there are any discrepancies, no, in forming proper level of ceramide lipids or proper level of natural moisturizing factors, there can be lot of issues in the skin. But so lipids optimize mixtures of cholesterol and fatty acids, no? Basically polyunsaturated fatty acids. Lipid precursors, no? Phytospingosin, tetraacetyl phytospingosin, omega hydroxy fatty acids, linoleic acid, alpha hydroxy acid, lactic acid. See, lactic acid, sodium lactate is a very good moisturizer. It supplies moisture to the skin. And lactic acid, what happens? No, it's a peeling agent. No, it peels off the stratum corneum, and the cell turnover time is decreased, right? So the new cells are formed very fast. So in this process, there are some reports that alpha hydroxy acids can correct some of the problems in the the ceramide lipid synthesis or the natural moisturizing factors in the cells. So in the keratinization and forming the stratum corneum, some of the corrections have been done by lactic acid. Some papers are there, and there are papers like niacinamide, vitamin B3. No, vitamin B3 has been found to improve or enhance the ceramide biosynthesis and ceramide lipid content, right? Vitamin B3 and ascorbic acid, lipoic acid, minerals, magnesium, calcium, and ursolic acid also has some part to play here. So to conclude, this is what I want to share with you. So you can have natural butters like cocoa butter, shea butter in your product. So you can have sodium lactate, then you can have glycerin in your product, then you can see, then you can have aloe gel. So these are all in a product that is intended for moisturization, right? If allowed, if your product design is like that, you can have liquid paraffin, okay? Liquid paraffin also, because it's a petroleum base, but liquid paraffin and esters, right? So this can form a very good glycerin and propylene glycol. You can also have glycerin and propylene glycol. So this combination can be a good combination to give intense moisturization to the skin, a cream with intense moisturization. Or if it is a mild moisturization, you can have a small natural butters with liquid with esters, right? Mild moisturization. Here you have all the properties, and you can use vitamin B3 for biosynthesis of the ceramides. See, you can add polyunsaturated fatty acids like the sunflower oil or borage seed oil, which contains high level of polyunsaturated fatty acids, which can build ceramides. But when you add those ingredients, you have to be very careful in preserving the product, because they are susceptible to rancidity. Because of the polyunsaturation, those oils are susceptible to rancidity. So you have to build in powerful antioxidants in the formula. Right? This is the thing. Right? This is what I would like to share with you on the approach to actives for skin moisturization. And as usual, before ending my life lessons today, so part 23, life lesson. Source of our energy force is from the earth, the air and the sun. Pray them and get the blessings of those energies. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Let us get connected in the next session. Till then, bye.